Being smooth is a desirable trait in the track riding world, but what exactly does it mean to be smooth? In this video, we're going to take a look at the main actions we perform on the track and talk about what it looks like to be smooth with each of them to hopefully give you a better idea on just what people mean when they talk about taking on this trait. I think the majority of riders will know they need to be smooth. It's something you hear all the time from riders and commentators alike in racing, for instance, as well as in many books, schools, and other coaches that will be promoting this same quality. But before we get into what it means exactly, I first want to touch on a very common phrase used in this conversation. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. This is a phrase you hear a lot around the subject of being smooth. Now, it's one that's correct, but it's also one that doesn't sit perfectly well with me because I feel it gives a vague and possibly even wrong message to the one it's actually trying to convey. A better way to say it would be, controlled is smooth and smooth is fast. We're not always looking to be slow with our actions, but we are looking to be controlled. And it's being controlled with each and every action you take on the bike that creates a smooth rider, and it's that smoothness that most enables fast riding. So with that in mind, let's look at each common action in turn and go over what it means to be controlled and smooth with each of them. Up first, your braking effort. You can use the brakes to a very high level, and you can get there quickly too, but you don't jab on the brakes instantly. You progressively squeeze the lever harder and build up the pressure so that the weight and force on the front tyre builds up progressively too. Then, once you reach the end of the braking zone and begin entering the corner, you don't immediately release the lever, but instead you taper and trowel the brakes off so that you slowly relieve the front end of some of that weight and better balance it for corner entry. Steering is another control that can be performed quickly. For instance, sometimes it might benefit the corner to flick the bike over in a very short space of time, but you don't punch on the inside bar to get the bike to lean over. It's a confident and controlled push on that inside bar. Or in situations where you need to change direction quickly from one side to the other. You don't yank on the bars as hard as you can. You once again use controlled inputs into the bike as you work to change direction, while also being sure not to add any unnecessary inputs into the bars as you move your body from one side to the other. Throttle control is another one to consider. And the throttle is probably the most important control that you want to be smooth with. A snatchy use of the throttle in the middle of the corner is a surefire way to unsettle and unbalance the bike and possibly overwhelm either tyre. Or a quick over-eagerness to begin your acceleration at corner exit could mean buying yourself a return ticket to the moon. Instead, when we first crack the throttle open in the middle of the corner, we want to introduce the power as gently as we can to stop the bike slowing down. Then, as we transition to corner exit and we can begin picking the bike up, we slowly increase throttle input to gradually increase power delivery. It's a gentle transition from initial application all the way out to the exit. Again, your inputs can be quick, particularly if the bike pickup for that particular corner is quick too, but it is still controlled. Body movements are things to consider too. Good timing of your body movements is important for smooth and tidy riding because it means you are far less likely to put any unwanted inputs into the bike at the wrong times. But the manner in which you move your body makes a big difference too. Now, sorry to tell you, but you are heavy. You make up a substantial portion of the total weight of bike and rider. This means that an overly aggressive or sloppy movement around the bike is going to have an effect on the chassis and therefore negatively affect bike stability and traction. Once again, while sometimes quick, your movements must be controlled so that they affect the bike as little as possible. This means how your weight moving around affects the bike itself, but also minimizing any unwanted inputs as you move around too, which typically go through the bars or through the throttle. And one final concern is gear shifting. Now, while not really as big a deal as the others here and not quite as common, I still see riders making sloppy gear changes. Now, when the bike is upright, it's not really as big of a problem, but at higher lean angles, say when exiting a corner, riders can still be a little too eager with their shifting efforts. And this is mainly aimed at the clutchless upshift, where the rider's throttle action during the upshift can be a little aggressive. With downshifts, there may well be times where you need to get down a number of gears quickly. Now, with modern technology, this is becoming easier and easier, but older bikes that don't have the luxury of auto blippers and slipper clutches, you must be more controlled with the downshifts as not to upset the bike, reduce traction or corner entry control. Okay, hopefully looking at those actions has given you a good idea on what it means to be smooth, but if not, here's an easy way to think of it. To navigate around the track, we must put inputs into the bike and move around on it so that we can do the things we need to do to go fast. But with each of those actions, you have to consider the forces they're putting through the bike and how that transfers to the tyres and the track. While the ceiling on track and racing tyres is very high today, a distinct lack of smoothness in your technique will mean you can't fully utilise the available traction because you aren't giving the tyres the right platform to work to that level. For example, snapping on the brakes won't give you enough time to correctly load the suspension and front tyre before reaching high levels of braking effort, meaning there's a good chance you'll overload the tyre before you've given it a chance to offer its true traction potential. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is minimize any immediate spikes in force going through the bike and tyres, which will most often be caused by sloppy technique. Being smooth with each control and movement ensures you remain inside those traction limits, but it also allows you to tap greater potential from the tyres because you're creating a better situation for the tyres themselves in terms of how they deal with those forces. So the next time you feel you were riding on the ragged edge and riding super fast, but then you come back into the paddock to realise you've gone 2 seconds slower, consider a change in how you use the bike in search for more speed. Are there areas of your riding that you feel could be tidied up in terms of their smoothness? Tell us about it in the comments down below. And as always, if you like the video, then please hit the button and subscribe to the channel for more performance riding advice and guides moving forward. Take care.